think you can go now, Christine. Action.
Action. Okay. Austin and David, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to talk about marketing 101 for painting contractors with both of you. We're going to jump right in and get started. So, David, I'm going to start with you. I understand you work with Austin and Base Coat Marketing, and I'm wondering what made you decide to start working with an agency, and what were some of the things that you were doing before that on your own?
Well, before Austin, we were doing pretty much everything. So all our email marketing, all of our Facebook ads, blog posts. We did have someone helping us with our website, handling SEO work and some of the behind the scenes stuff, but we pretty much did everything else. And that was pretty much since we started our business, because didn't really have the budget to hire someone. And honestly, I didn't trust anybody else because, it's my name, my brand. I didn't really trust anybody else to be able to convey the messaging we wanted. So a little bit of a trust issue, but more of a money issue. So, what was more important. So we were putting more money into keeping business on and other marketing efforts versus spending money on having someone else do it. And then Austin, I still can't remember, because I know they asked and I couldn't remember. I was looking through emails and I've got about 18 months of emails from him. I saved them in a file. So somehow at some point, I got on his mailing list. An article that was online I was looking for that he had posted or something, and then started with his email marketing. Went from there.
What made you decide to start working with an agency?
Actually, it was because we have an issue with Facebook. So we had our Facebook account hacked and we got it back, and then it got hacked. It was immediate after we got it back, it got hacked again. And no one was really giving us any information, and Facebook is awesome to work with. And I say that in the most sarcastic way possible and being polite for this. But they were awful. And so I think that was the email Austin had sent with something about Facebook. And so we had contacted him. And so it was a lot of hoops, and I'm sure he was very frustrated in the process too, because it was setting up separate accounts and set up a separate Facebook account, ad account, in order to get all of our stuff working. And that was, I think that was October of last year, and we didn't get it back till, I think it was about, it might be 45 days ago, 6 months. Yeah, I think it was about 6 weeks ago. We finally got the account back, but it was between him emailing and me emailing that got it back. But if it wasn't for him helping, we probably never would have got that account back. So that was kind of it was a necessity that we needed help with. And then it just grew from there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. So my next question is actually for Austin, and we've heard a little bit through this conversation. Hey, there's Facebook, there's website, and digital marketing is just such a very big space, and it has a lot of options for businesses. So where is a good place to start?
Yeah, so I just want to start with our core value. We have a core value, and it's based off of the 80-20 rule. So we only invest our time into things that generate results. So the 80-20 rule is basically saying that 80% of your results typically come from 20% of your efforts. Now, with that said, we primarily invest most of our time into the two primary channels that most painting contractors are most aware of, and that is going to be Google and social media. The big player in the social media field within this industry is going to be Meta, so Instagram and Facebook. And those are the two channels that we like to spend the most time in because they generate the best results for our clients. Yes, there are 100 other shiny objects out there that somebody can go track down, but those two typically have either the lowest buy-in rate or just the best results that you can get out there. Out of those two, we really like Google, because on that channel, you can acquire high quality leads without paying for leads. That's really where our bread and butter is.
When you think about those two platforms, just social media versus Google, I mean, what, in your opinion, is the best use for each?
Okay, so I would love to go into some pros and cons about each of these, and I'll just briefly run through these because I think this will really help shed some light on where a lot of guys should start focusing their energy, and then we can talk through some of those nuances as well. So let's start with social media. That is generally the one, that's the platform that most guys start with. because it's free. All you need is a social media account to get started. So social media is generally one of the cheapest places to acquire leads online. You can target both residential and commercial on there. Not many people understand the fact that business owners, facility owners, property management owners, they all are on social media for the most part as well. It just requires a different level of targeting. Also, the advertising channels are relatively easy to set up. So you don't require a website and a landing page and a call tracking number like you do over on Google. Some of the cons with social media are the lead quality. People don't have buyer intent on social media. They're scrolling through Instagram, looking at cute puppy pictures and Instagram models. They're not necessarily considering hiring a painter. So it does take a different buyer mindset to sell to those particular prospects. The interface can be buggy as well. David, I know, is very well aware of how buggy that can be. And the problem is that tends to relate down to a lack of support on the hacking side of things, which it should not be on the end user to secure their account all the time, even though it is. But Meta does not make that very easy, which leads to a very insecure environment. And as David stated, support on Meta is generally measured not in hours, days, or weeks, but in months. So you can really feel like you're jumping out of an airplane without a parachute on when you're really trying to generate results for your business on that platform. In terms of Google, let's talk about some pros over there. A lot of people understand that Google is really where the buyer intent exists. People go on there to search for painting companies, painting businesses. The close ratios over there are going to be significantly higher than you'd find on social media as a result of that. Google is also, it's one of those places that you can acquire leads without paying for leads. They have several different means and methods of going about doing that, starting with a free channel, which is your Google business profile. Anybody listening to this podcast, if you don't have a Google business profile today, go get one created. It's free and you can acquire leads that way. You can also acquire leads organically through your website. So it's a great channel. It's where we like to focus most of our time. Now, some cons with Google. It's expensive. Everybody and their mom and every national company are advertising on that channel. As a result, you can expect to pay more for your leads. It's not like Meta, where you can just go with a credit card and a social media account and get up and running. It is more complex to set up. It does require a website or a landing page, some call tracking, conversions. But at the end of the day, it is still one of the best channels out there to acquire painting business leads for your company.
So my follow-up question to that, Austin, is can you talk to our contractors a little bit about, and actually this question's for both of you, what is a good use of social media, what they can expect as a contractor, and what is a good use of search? I think you talked about the Google piece is really those qualified leads. So can you talk a little bit about what's a good use of social media and what are some tips you might have around that?
Yeah, David, why don't you start with this? Because I always really appreciated your social media approach. And as David stated, he's tried everything and it's really made our job pretty easy managing his account. So I definitely like David to start with this and I can fill in.
Our mindset basically is from Marcus Sheridan. They ask you answers. So his kind of theory of marketing is kind of what we've adopted, pretty hardcore. And then Donald Miller with Story Brand. So kind of, who we are telling the story, because everyone loves to be part of a story. So that's kind of the theory of how we've evolved with our marketing. So all of our social, which is Facebook, Meta, is pretty much, we're just sharing what we're doing. Personal, because people are buying us. So we put personal, try and mix it where it's about 2/3 business, 1/3 personal. So our beekeeping, we put a lot of stuff in the beekeeping, stuff we're doing in the yard. We don't put like vacation stuff on there, but any kind of hobbies or something like that we'll put on there. And then we don't really separate, I don't separate personal from business, even on my personal Facebook thing. Whatever I'm sharing on one is the other, because I never know who's going to be watching it. So just kind of having people be, I guess, part of the experience is kind of the goal of that. Whatever we're doing, that's what we post. And then between that and then the Google My Business, or I can't remember what it's called now, I changed names, but the Google My Business or Google Maps, posting pictures to there, posting videos. We're still learning, and Austin does a really good job of educating us once a month when he looks at our metrics, what we're doing. So between him and his team, they do a good job of kind of saying, okay, there's been some changes, do this or do this. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing. So I don't know, we never stopped learning about it either. So it's awesome. I hope that answers the question.
Can I ask a follow-up question? So for folks who are like, people don't want to see what I'm doing, the 1/3 personal, I think some folks can feel uncomfortable doing that. What would your advice be? Because that is important to build the brand and to build that level of comfort and trust.
Sales 101, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And if they don't know who you are, they can't like you. And if they can't know who you are, and if they don't like you, they're never going to trust you. So we do whatever we can to build trust. I know as soon as someone says I saw us on YouTube, and if it's a customer listening to this, I'll say it to their face just as much as I'll say as a recorded line. When someone says I saw you on YouTube, I know I've sold that job because they haven't just watched one video. So it's instant trust as soon as they start seeing those videos on YouTube.
And you don't do anything fancy. You probably just use the camera on your phone.
Camera on my phone, and then I've learned. Someone told me to start doing YouTube thumbnails. So the pictures and whatever the caption is. So I just use the free Canva app, and I just take a picture of whatever I'm doing, write whatever the title is, put it on there. I use the iPhone. I don't do anything special at all. I edit nothing. So I'm sure some people's chagrin, I don't edit anything because they know what they're getting. So if I make a mistake, I did a couple blooper videos. I keep them on there. I don't care. They're buying me and they're buying what we're doing. So I want to be as authentic as possible. I don't want a polished product because is that real? I want them to know this is who we are as a business and this is who I am as a person.
Austin, are you going to answer now?
Yeah, so I just want to resonate with a few things that David had mentioned there. So starting with Marcus Sheridan, They Ask You Tell, fantastic book. I highly recommend any business owner go out and read that. That's actually how we kind of got our start as well within our space. And trust. So, all right, when we're looking at social media, we experiment all the time, not with our client ad spend, but internally, and then we supplement that. And that's the only way to really learn and understand what's working in most markets. Now, on social media, it is all about trust and authority. Not very unlike Google and anything else online. But really what it comes down to is a lot of guys go in there with this mindset of, I need to sell, sell, sell. And they'll develop ad copy and ad creative around their service and their business. Nobody cares about that. They care about you as the business owner. We've tested this over and over and over again. The best ad campaigns that you can run on social media is about you as the business owner. We actually call them our Honest Abe ad campaigns. And we put the business owner's face on there and we write a little story about them and their business and why you should work with them. And what that does is as you're scrolling through your news feed, you see somebody's face pop up that you've never seen before. Like, am I friends with this person? Why are they there? And that slight little delay in interaction is really what causes that algorithm to kick in and say, okay, this person paused for a split second. Let's show them more of that. And that's really where the whole campaign starts, is with that trust, that authority, and getting you in the front door. So I cannot stress enough, stop just trying to sell your business. Talk about yourself, your personal life, and what you do day to day. That is really what's going to drive results on social media in particular.
I love all of that, especially the being real on social media. I think that's one of my key takeaways from this webinar. But in speaking of key takeaways, there's a few things that you can do that can help you be successful in this space. And a lot of it comes from resources. So when you look at Sherwin-Williams, we provide a social media guide for contractors, and that's available to you with your sales rep or even at your local stores. That's a great place to start, and it breaks it down pretty simply on how to just get started in this space. Other resources, Austin is a great resource, companies like Austin, but Austin has a company that's dedicated to helping you be successful in this space, and I would definitely encourage you to reach out to someone like that. And then last but not least, your local PCA chapter and getting linked up with a PCA. There's a lot of resources through the PCA that are available to you to help you be successful in your business and even in this digital marketing space.
So Austin and David, what do you have any favorite resources that you turn to besides David, besides Austin? And I mean, honestly, and speaking to, those who maybe are a little bit earlier in this journey, who maybe can't afford to work with an agency just yet.
Yeah, once, I said Marcus Sheridan, but if you go back to when he first started, he had a podcast called The Sales Lion. I still think that's probably one of his best resources he's ever come up with. And not we actually were on two of them, which blows me away that he actually had us on as a guest. But they're awesome. I mean, it's him. It's him being authentic. Talking about when him and his pool company, and he goes through, looks at websites, what's good, what's bad, and so you're getting really authentic information. And again, he may have polished it, but doesn't come across that way. I know Donald Miller, we've said him a couple times, but he's changed a couple things, but still his books are really great. But between YouTube and podcasting, there's so much on there. Julie's mentioned PCA, just going in PCA, and I know they changed it, and I don't go on there as much as I should, but they have a ton of resources, like just marketing itself, where you can go on there and listen. And when I was just painting myself, or I had my sons with us, it was a podcast that was playing in the background. And so while I was working, I had it while I was either working or driving. So there's plenty of information out there, just a matter of taking time to listen to it and take advantage of it.
Yeah, podcasts are great because you can kind of kill two birds with one stone. Like you said, as you're working or driving, you can have it and be learning at the same time. Austin?
Yeah, so I'll add a few things to that list as well. So first, if you guys navigate to basecoatmarketing.com/learn, we have our painter marketing hacks hub there. I just wanted to plug that. We do take everything that we learn and add it to that. That's essentially our marketing playbook that we're giving away for free. There's no incentive or anything tied behind that. If you guys want to learn how we do things on our end, go there. It's all spelled out. We continue to add to that as often as we can. Now, in terms of just things that you can start doing today and kind of how we learn internally, is we start by learning from our clients. So our onboarding calls, they last about 3 hours long. They've been getting longer and longer as time's gone on. It's because we ask very detailed questions of our clients to get to know them, what's working and what's not working. We'll ask them questions like, what's your favorite restaurant? And it could just be totally off the book in terms of what most people would consider a question to ask from a marketing agency. But we do that because at the end of the day, if we don't know our clients well enough, we're not going to be able to generate them the results they expect. You wouldn't want to just hand over your entire business to somebody who doesn't know your business and know you as the business owner. So we listen to our clients and we kind of follow the rule of averages. Enough people say the same thing, it's probably because it means something. As far as podcasts go, yeah, highly recommend everybody go check out Nick Slavic, PCA. He has Ask a Painter Live, just fantastic on social media. You can ask him any questions. He is a master crafts person. Highly recommend Nick. And then also Tanner Molan. He has a podcast called Contractor Marketing Secrets. He runs Drip Jobs. Fantastic resource. Again, somebody that you can just go on there, ask questions, and he will respond to you. He's very prompt about that.
Yeah, I find a lot of people are willing to share their experience for the most part. So thank you for sharing those resources. So we're amongst friends. We're going to get real for a minute. You both, David and Austin, have been in the painting business for quite some time. Are you willing to share maybe some mistakes that you've made in the past and advice you would give for avoiding those in the future?
Yeah, so I'll go first here, and then David, you can you can step in. So we have one of our core values is fail quick within our company. We are not afraid to fail. That's how you learn, right? And that just goes for any business owner, regardless of whether you're a painting business owner or not. You guys have to be okay and accept the fact that mistakes are going to happen, and it's really about evaluating those mistakes and recovering from that. There's going to be small mistakes, big mistakes. As your company grows, you're going to have problems. They're just going to be different from the problems that you had as a smaller company. We don't steer away from failure. Failure is how you learn. Again, we just try to fail quick.
So did I catch a mistake in there? Are you willing to share one mistake maybe that is a common mistake, a rookie mistake maybe that you made long time ago?
So, all right. In terms of mistakes that we have made, I'll start there, and then is it okay if I kind of talk about some mistakes that we see our clients making from time to time okay. So internally, because we are growing fast, we're a very fast growing agency. We like to test things that are untested, such as organizational structures and marketing strategies. And those strategies don't always pan out. So something that as we start testing out new strategies within new markets, we identify that, hey, this looks great on paper. It's converting great from a numbers standpoint. But then when we go talk to our client, they're like, hey, we've gotten our phone ringing off the hook, but nobody's been closing. And we have made the big mistake of assuming that just because we're generating leads that the client's happy. Now, up until this point, knock on wood, we have a 100% client success rate in terms of the client retention. That's because we care about our clients and we like to learn what is working and what's not working for them. But an early on mistake that we had made was assuming that it was just up to us to generate phone calls for them. It's not. It is to help them generate closed jobs and more money back in their pocket each month. In terms of mistakes that we see a lot of our clients come to us or prospects come to us with, I'm going to start with the fact that if you guys are hiring a marketing agency from Fiverr or overseas in some cases, the results are generally what you pay for. And what we identify is that we are having to undo a lot of those changes that can actually impact and dig yourself into a hole more than it's going to help you long term. So really just kind of not putting all your eggs in one basket. Don't hire somebody from Fiverr if you can avoid it. We really want to look at growing your business long term. And there are definitely some things that we can talk about doing today that'll set you up for success in the future.
Thanks, Austin. David, are you willing to share maybe a mistake that you had to learn from the hard way? And
I don't think we have enough time for mine. I think first and foremost I think the hardest thing is getting over yourself. A lot of people have said it, get over yourself. You're not that important, but it really is true. People they want you for a reason. So let people know who you are. People love to brag about stuff that they've done, and you become part of that process. So the more you can invite yourself into their lives, the more you're part of that, the more the referrals go up, the more you're, make those relationships. And we're long-term goal. I don't want to do a one job and be done. I want to be painter for life. And I think just starting, a lot of times, myself included, once I got over it, now it's almost a detriment because now I just jump in and I don't do enough research on things sometimes. But when it comes to seeing what's going to work, I just go after it. And so if a video is going to work, it is. If it's not, it's not. But I think too often people worrying about, making sure it's right before you start. And, they've got to just start. It doesn't matter what it is. Whoever I was talking to, the best time to plant a tree is today. When you're going to have babies. Well, there's no perfect time to have a kid. It's when it happens, it's going to be the right time and you'll figure out as you go. So you gotta act. And failure to act is failure in every aspect, because if you're not acting, you're reacting, and it's just not a good place to be.
So Austin, if there were 3 things or just some best practices or anything that somebody could take away and do right away after watching this webinar, what do you think those things would be?
Yes, this is really easy. I think 2 of these 3 are actually homework assignments that we assign our clients each month. The first is, if you guys don't already have a Google business profile, so formerly known as Google My Business, go get that set up today. It's free, just takes a few minutes of your time. It is how you get on the Google Map Pack. It is one of the things that we really aim to have our clients push new reviews to that profile every single week. Now, reviews, you cannot buy a reputation online. It is still one of the most important ranking factors for your business online today is your reputation. So go get that business profile created, start pushing reviews there, not to social media. The reviews on social media don't help your business online. Second is going to be, if you don't already have a website, go purchase a domain name. If you were to, let's say, try to get your website ranking on Google today or engage a marketing agency at some point in the future, we need that domain name to have aged. Google looks at the age of a domain, it'll put you in a sandbox, and no matter what we do for the first 3 to 6 months, we cannot get that to rank. So the more time we have that domain name, the more time we have your website live, the faster we're able to get you up and running. Now, the important thing, and I already touched on this, is don't invest in a lot of content that's going to be spammy content for that site. I would rather a client come to us with a 1-page landing page than a bloated website full of bad content that we have to fix. So very much, focus on quality over quantity there. And then finally, taking quality media. So before and after images, project photos, videos. I just want to illustrate just a few different video types and I'm sure David's does this for us every single month. He's a great client of ours. But testimonial videos, time-lapse videos, project walkthroughs. These are all things that you can shoot on your phone today. When clients come to us with a bucket full of images and rich before and after pictures, videos, we're able to generate them much better results right up front than the guys that we're having to leverage stock photos for. So those are 3 things that I would really invest your time into today.
David, all of that stuff was great that Austin just spoke about. Is there anything from your vantage point or from your perspective that you think that our listeners or our watchers today could take away today that they should get on today?
Aside from don't being afraid to fail, because you will, that's part of it, letting people know who you are. But I think the biggest thing is asking questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Just because you don't know doesn't mean you shouldn't do anything. So, swallow it, take that humble pie. But, if you don't know, ask. And I'll tell you, now my wife, she says that's one of the biggest things that she always admired about me is I don't care how big of an ass I look like. If I'm going to learn something from somebody today, I'm going to take the hit, because if it's going to help my family, if it's going to help our employees, and it's going to help my customers, I'll ask the dumb question. It's okay. No one's going to think anything less about you if you ask a dumb question, because all it's going to do is help you improve.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice, David. I think people are afraid they're going to sound stupid or look stupid, but I always tell my kids, you don't know how to do something until you learn. So use the resources available to you. There's so much information on the internet, YouTube, great, network with fellow contractors, find folks like Austin. There's lots of resources available to get started. The key is just start doing something, right?
Yep.
Okay, now we are going to turn it over back to our live Q&A. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
All right, we did it. I'm hoping that everyone can still hear and see me. Julie, we still here?
Yeah, we're still here.
Okay, and David, this is our guest, David. We are really excited. The whole and basically we'll do David's introduction since we missed him in the beginning. But think of your questions and use the chat to start adding questions now that you have for Austin and David. But David is. I'll let you tell them who you are, but it was really important that we brought in some real actual painting contractors and business owners, because we know that, it's important to have your partners at Sherwin-Williams. It's important to have industry experts like Austin, but where the rubber meets the road are all of you guys and gals out there who are doing this work every day. So David, can you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your company and all of that?
Yeah, David Cook, DeFranco Painting and Wallpaper. And we are in Huntley, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. Family-owned business, so my wife and I are co-owners of it. It's been fun because we've had all of our family members work with our business at some point, and then we've just been growing ever since. And to the point now, we've got a couple subcontractors, and I think we're at 8 employees as of today. So it's been a fun journey of growing and having some great partners to work with to help us in that journey.
Excellent. So while we're waiting for some more questions, I wanted to touch on something, Austin, that you had said in the pre-recorded conversation, which was spammy content. And when folks are setting their website up, you really want them to avoid that. Can you talk a little bit about what you mean by spammy content?
Yeah, great question. So the bottom line is that particular service, when we're looking at search engine optimization, it's very ambiguous. It's a very gray area. There's a number of different ways to interpret what that actually means. And for those of you who have no idea what it just means ranking your website well on Google without paying for ads. The problem is, because of that ambiguity, so many different people can interpret that as how to deliver that service best. And that can lead to a bunch of spammy results. Me telling you that I'm going to put 1,000 words of content on your site each week, that content may not do anything for your bottom line. Content's still one of the most important ranking factors on Google. It requires a lot of content to get that website ranking well. So when we're talking about spammy content, the problem is once it's out there in the world, it's indexed by Google. And to undo that, we then have to redirect that page to another page that's relevant. And the short-term impact can be as significant as your website dropping off search results. The long-term impact can be as bad as us having to recreate all of your new content, and we're looking at maybe months or even years to really recover from something like that.
Got a shy group of folks today. Julie, do you have any questions? I've got a few more, but I wanted to pass it over to you.
No, thank you for that. I actually just had a comment throughout the recording. David had talked about, hey, like we always like work on perfection and getting it right before we start. And I think that this webinar is actually a good example of us as a company kind of taking a risk and, hey, we're doing this. We're going to try it like pre-recorded. We're going to do this live Q&A. You know, I'm traveling. I'm in San Francisco this week for a conference and we're making it work. So I think that those were some powerful words by David in the webinar. Just don't be afraid to just create content, use your phones. We have cameras and make it happen. We do have a question coming through in the chat. Thank you, Joe. How often should we be posting to social media? That is a question in the chat.
So David, why don't you answer that question? Because you, again, have a very good organic social presence, and that's why I really wanted you on this call, and then I'll answer from a technical marketing standpoint.
We were always told 3 times a day. You should be posting 3 times a day.
Yeah. So social media is challenging, and here's the big part of this is social media is a pay-to-play platform. So for you to really get that downhill snowball viral effect like David has, you have to be posting a ton of content. You're a content creator at that point. That's what really gets the algorithm moving. If you're not willing to post that often, and it takes time. David, how much time do you think you spend each day or each week creating content to post online?
Yeah, I'll bet it's everywhere from I'll say half hour to an hour is probably a good number, because we're getting in for, like, we have whoever's working on a job, we have our Slack channel or texting. So, getting them to get pictures. So some of it's calling them, hey, we need a couple pictures of you doing whatever you're doing today. So calling the guys or going to job sites to making sure we're getting pictures, and it's, kind of refining, not just taking a picture of a wall, but all right, take a picture of someone else painting, or take a picture of you with a gun, something, just anything, action photos or little videos. So there's a lot of buy-in, with our employees also to get that done, but it can take some time for sure.
So you're looking at roughly, let's just round it and say a day or two a month, full-time, somebody who is going to be creating content, if you had to put that on one person. That's a lot of time and energy investing into a platform that, when we're looking at results from organic social posting, and I'm referencing organic social posting from paid social, so social advertising, organic social posting has about a 5% organic reach in general. And that's even being generous. So if you have, let's say, 100 people who like your Facebook page, maybe 5 of those are actually going to interact and engage. And then from there, maybe only 1% of those are actually going to convert or reach out to a lead. So the amount of effort it takes to generate organically driven results on there does take a lot of energy.
So thank you both. It's great to hear both perspectives on that. And, I know there's a lot of painting companies out there that have success with organic social, but it's really about building the brand and building the story and a place that people go almost like they're searching their pre-research about you. So definitely a great use case for both. It just depends on what you're trying to achieve. And I think, asking yourself as a business owner, what's my goal in this activity? And what am I hoping to achieve, kind of helps set you up for success and know where to divide your time. We have another question in from Robel. Are any lead gen services worth it?
So David, I'm going to turn this back over to you. What lead gen services outside of our marketing services have you used, and what has worked for you? What hasn't?
Yeah, the one that we're doing right now is Google Local Services. They're not available everywhere, but we're using Google Local Service ads right now in our area, and those are working extremely, extremely well. We've tried the Angie's List and those home, I can't remember what it was before, but they haven't been great. The one of the biggest issues we had was there's so many people. There's so many of them out there. So if someone goes to Angie's List or Angie, whatever it's called now, if they're going there, they don't realize how many people are getting their information. So they put the request in there thinking they're gonna get one estimate, and then they go to another one thinking they're getting one estimate. Next thing you know, they're getting 15 calls. You're spending a lot of money to be listed on there, and that money is definitely better used having someone posting or working on your own website versus contributing to the pockets of Angie's List or Yelp or one of those places.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. So any private lead source, that being your website, specific advertising channel that you're running ads on, so Google local services ads, paid social media, those are going to be your most lucrative lead channels. And the reason is that you're not sharing those leads with anybody else. Channels like Angie, Home Advisor, CraftJack, those are all very profitable services for some painting companies. And the big differentiating factor there, it comes down to two things, and that's location. So the level of competition that you have in your area. If you're in a large metro area, you're going to have a lot more guys wanting to advertise on those channels and capture those leads than if you're in the, backwoods sticks country. And then the second is really just a matter of how quickly you can respond to those leads. It's all about time to lead. If you have a process in place that allows you to get them on the phone within like 5-10 seconds of them submitting that lead form, your likelihood and your chances of actually getting to that estimate go up drastically. So location, competition level, and processes.
We have another question in the chat. Can you speak on how to handle negative reviews? As you know, that can be a challenge from time to time.
Great question. So let me just give you guys a quick story. We had a client of ours. One of his workers cut off somebody in traffic. They were driving down the road and they got a negative review on their business profile. 1-star review. They took a picture of the van, posted it online. This is obviously not the client's fault. It had nothing to do with the services that they were offering. But it's a big detriment because they go from a 5-star rating to, 4.8 or something. And look, I'm going to just go out there and say there's a lot of authenticity behind a 4.8 star rating compared to a 5. So don't ever discredit that 1 or 2 1-star reviews. But here's the key is always respond and always respond politely. Never be negative about it. If you go out there and take responsibility for it and accountability for it and go to even post your phone number and say, I would love for you to give me a call so we can talk through a solution. What that does is two things. First of all, it gives an opportunity for you to try to get that review pulled down because you can get them on the phone and potentially talk them out of that. And the second thing, if it does, even if they never contact you, it shows somebody else who's on there researching you that you actually care. In this particular case, our client got that pulled down and it's because he got them on the phone. And I think that just goes a long way. Just be authentic, respond, don't try to hide it or discredit that.
Another question, what type of old-fashioned marketing techniques do you find work the best? And I don't know if this is probably best for David, since Austin, you're not really into old-fashioned marketing techniques, but things like mailbox magnets, truck wrappers, monthly mailers. Where's the best and most profitable physical place to spend money on marketing outside of electronic marketing or digital marketing? So you might have some ideas too, Austin, but David, I don't know if you have anything that you've tried that is considered, the sort of older fashioned physical marketing that's worked well for you.
Yeah, we've got our hands in a lot. Our big thing this year, one of the big fans I think it was called Whale Done, was the name of a book, and it was about referral marketing and how to build up past customers. And so that was one of our big goals this year, is to build up minimum 50% of our business is coming from repeat customers. So we've kind of taken it on with, we've always done emails. We don't saturate them. So we send emails probably every 6 weeks to our existing customer list. And I never talk about what we're doing. It's always about sharing information. So popular colors or even stuff that we're doing. The best one I had was, you'll never believe where I was in the Super Bowl. I was in the emergency room, was the email, but that was a huge open rate. So just kind of, again, sharing, being personal, being out there. People want to know more about you. So however you can relate, and it's keeping top of mind. We send postcards to everybody, whether we got a job or not. Every single person we've ever done an estimates for gets a postcard twice a year. They get thank you cards. When we're done with an estimate, they get a thank you card. We mail them to them. When done with the job, they get a thank you card, mail them to them. We just started doing local mailers. So if we're working on a, 123 Smith Street, that whole 6 or 7 houses around there, we're sending stuff to them also, which has been tricky because there's no service for that. So that you're old school and you're having to do it yourself.
I can tell you, David, I've personally hired service folks from that exact technique, because you feel more comfortable if David Cook and his crew went into my neighbor's house. then I feel more comfortable having them into mine. So I think that's a great one.
The yard signs work. Your vans
Mhm.
out there all the time, so the yard signs do work. All of our company vehicles, we don't have wraps. I just use the windows. So we just have little graphics that you put on your window. They're easy to install. You can get them online or through your local sign company. You might get them for $30-40 a window, and they're really, really easy to apply to a window. And that's easy because you're always on display. You might as well have someone, instead of advertising for Chevrolet, you might as well start advertising for yourself.
So this next question that I'm going to ask actually plays into what you were just talking about. And the question was, do you believe that word of mouth can be just as beneficial as social media if used right? So if either of you would like to answer that.
I'll step in here, and I definitely want to hear from David as well. So social media, unless you are willing to invest a ton of energy into that. So like David is, and like people like Zach Kenny of ZK Painting, it's going to be a challenge for you to get that reach. Think of it as standing in an audience, and if you have 5 people in front of you and you're screaming at them, that's not a large reach, right? And we want to cast as wide of a net as possible. Advertising gets that on social media. Word of mouth is always going to be one of your most popular high close ratio lead sources out there, right? But from a social media standpoint, if you are doing organic social posting, just plan on investing a lot of time if you want to see any returns from that. David, do you have any thoughts on that one?
Kind of probably like Muhammad Ali, boxing, kind of that 1-2. You're getting people people know who you are, but when they see you socially, and socially by, whether it's your truck or what, YouTube or Facebook, when they see someone references you and then they see you, online or whatever, it is a 1-2 punch. Social proof is now, I think, more powerful, than sometimes a referral, in a lot of ways.
And yeah, it's something I'll actually add to that is one thing that we tell our clients, because we do a lot of advertising for them, and they think that, okay, that's all we need to do. We don't need to do any social posting. Even if you don't have the time to spend a couple of days each month posting on your social channels, at the very least, post a couple times a week or once a week, your before and after images. Anytime you're on a job site, take your before and after pictures, take a picture of your team. Human faces have, it's a psychological trait that it sells better than a picture of a house. So get your clients in there, get a testimonial video. Again, that's one of the homework assignments we give to our clients, is to produce media and assets. That's for us to leverage, but also for you to post and share. Just be authentic about it.
Yeah. So a couple key takeaways before we wrap up. Authenticity, get over yourself, I think, and get over yourself. I think that's what you said, David. Is that right?
They did.
Yeah. Okay. So quoting David there. Also, what I've heard a lot of is really thinking about your marketing from multiple perspectives, right? It's not one thing is going to achieve one thing, but they have a snowball and a cumulative effect. So, thinking through your social approach and your Google approach, thinking about that, word of mouth, and some more of those techniques like the flyers and the yard signs. So it's not one thing, it's a lot of these things, but the key is start today. And that's really what we wanted to be able to have everyone take away from our first episode today. So a couple things. Austin, we've had questions on how do people find you? So can you let us know, and I'm sure you'll put in the chat too, how folks can find you. And then also, if you wouldn't mind, and we'll link in the show notes, because again, we're going to post this to YouTube, but tell them a little bit about what you're offering our guests today.
Yeah, so if anybody is interested in discussing how we might be able to help, I'll preface this by mentioning that we are looking for those who have budgets to afford a large marketing service. And the reason for that is we look at return on investment and making sure that we can actually put more money back in your pocket each month. So come prepared to spend a couple $1,000s, knowing that you're going to see that plus 10x return. That's what we really aim for there, right? So with that said, we do have a very tight sales calendar this month. If you guys ever have trouble getting to us, please feel free to give us a call. Just go to basecoatmarketing.com. You can open up a website chat there. We will respond. This month, we are offering, through anybody who's been on this channel, if you go to basecoatmarketing.com facebook.com/Sherwin. So Sherwin-Williams. We are giving away free Google local services ads, setup and management with any SEO program. So our SEO programs, as we've already discussed, that's really where our bread and butter is. We want to really reduce our clients' dependency and need to spend money on ads. If we can build you that marketing asset, that business asset, that is the best way to grow your business long-term. So that offer is valid today. If you guys go to basecoatmarketing.com/Sherwin, grab a spot on our calendar. We'd be happy to talk strategy with you.
Excellent. We put that in the chat as well, so you can check there. We also have in the chat one of our great resource guides. At Sherwin-Williams, your success is our success and our success is your success. And so we really want to be able to give as many business tools as possible. So one of the greatest tools we have on this topic is social media guide for contractors. We're actually going to do an entire episode about social media. We're going to do an entire episode about ratings and reviews. So lots more exciting things to come. But that social media guide is in the chat, and it will be linked in the show notes when we get it on YouTube as well. So a couple things before we close out. Number one, first of all, thank you so much, David and Austin, for being with us on our very first episode of our Pro Plus Business Tools training series. You guys were incredible to work with, so thank you very much. Our next episode is actually going to be July 12th, and we are going to be talking about job costing and estimating. So again, another just more business side conversation and tips and tricks from people who are living this every single day. Also, if you have ideas for a topic that you want discussed, please put them in the chat now. We want to make sure that this is serving the contractor community. And again, we're always asking when we're out meeting with customers, like, what do you want more information on? But if there's something you feel really curious about, put it in the chat, talk to your sales rep. There's lots of ways to get that over to us. So with that, I will remind you again to please sign up for Sherwin-Williams text messages. You'll be the first to find out about webinars. And also there are exclusive savings and offers that you only get access to through our text program. So Julie, am I forgetting anything?
You are not forgetting anything. And I just wanted to take a minute to thank everyone that did log into this live webinar viewing Q&A session. This is going to be the first of many. We're very excited to do this and partner with folks in the field and help our pros.
David and Austin, any parting words for everyone?
I just hope everybody had one takeaway that they can take and implement in their business today. That is the only reason we're here today. I appreciate everybody's time spending the last hour with us. And yeah, David, what you got?
Yeah, I just put a thing on there because we've been trying to get it going, and we finally have been able to make it work through the PCA, starting the Chicagoland area gathering of painters. So you can start looking. I know we'll be posting it at Sherwin-Williams stores, and just trying to kind of the same thing here, people getting together, sharing what's working and not working. So gathering of Chicagoland painters, you can look for it on Facebook too.
All right. Well, if there are no other questions in the chat, which I don't think there are, I will say thank you to everyone. Have a great rest of the day, a great rest of the week, and happy painting.